Peace and love, peace and love. I wanted to talk about the topic of how everything is prepaid in the public. Utility bills, prepaid, all the insurances of cars, houses, prepaid. In fact, anything in the public that is considered a debt, that's already covered. It's insured. How is that possible, though? How is that possible? You know, when I first heard about it, I couldn't understand it either. It didn't make no sense to me. It was crazy. When somebody had mentioned it to me, I just could not make sense of it. But when you start to realize how the system actually is set up, right? Have you noticed that almost any property that somebody has in today's society or today's economy is registered? It's registered with the state or with the district, or it's registered with the government. It's registered. Now, if you do a little bit of investigation, you'll realize that when you register your car, you register your house, your land, your business, your kids, you register anything. This process or this act of registering, what it does, it is basically handing over and turning over property over to an entity. And this falls under the Transfer of Property Act, and you can read all about it on your own time. And where you're transferring your property over to them via registration, then what they do is they convert it into title. So the government would basically do something that we should be doing on our own. So when we get property, we should be putting up the papers for it. We should be putting up the deeds. We should be describing it and making a title of our own, and then simply just recording it, putting it on the record. And but when we don't do it, and we don't know how to do it, and we go and we register our property with government or with the state, what happens is, again, they make a title, they create a title, they keep the title, right? Because title is property. And once you have property and title, then you have rights to that property. So now, not only can you use that property to in a financial institution to make certain financial moves, not only can you do that, but you can collect on any interest or any profits that's made from your property. So when we register the car, the house, the land, the kids, the business, we're handing over property, they're creating titles, and they're giving us a certificate of title. Now, the reason they're giving us a certificate of title is because what you want to do is, we want to think about it like this, right? Imagine that the whole world is basically a slave ship, right? And we already have a master. Imagine I'm a slave. And as a slave, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do much. A master takes care of all of that for me. I don't really know how to handle my affairs. I don't know anything. I don't even know how to read the codes, the acts. I'm illiterate when it comes to that. I don't know how government works. I don't know how bank works. I don't know how business works. I don't know how money works. I don't know anything other than what the master has given me, and in terms of information and knowledge, right? So I depend a lot on master. So if somebody comes and gives me a land or sells me a land, honestly, I know it's not mine, it's for master. So I have to go and take it to master, and master receives it. So basically, I get a land, a car, a house, whatever, and I hurry take it to master. And master then accepts it, converts it into a title, and master puts it in his banking and financial and accounting system, and he takes care of that. He knows what to do with that property, because I, a slave, I do not know. So master then gives me a little bit of privilege to use the property. So he gives me a certificate, and I can now use the property. But if I use the property to make benefits, to make gains, to make profit, to make profit, right? Then master requires of me to give him some of that profit or all of that profit because it's not mine. Master doesn't like for me to touch his things and use his things and not give him what he is due. So I must obey what master says. And anything I find, anything that is given to me, a car, license, or maybe I have kids, I'm going to hurry give it to master because master knows what to do with it. I don't know what to do with those things there because I'm just a silly little slave. I'm illiterate. I don't know how to read the acts, the codes, the ordinance. I don't know those things there. Master seems very, very highly knowledgeable about that, and I trust master to do things for me for my benefit. I know master will take care of me. So I'll give everything to master, and master will register it. And it'll be his, and he can use it to make money off of it. And if I'm using his car, his house, he has all the right to come into the house that I'm using, the car that I'm using, and punish me for not following master's rules, master's codes, master's laws. So I must obey what master says. And anytime I find property, I must give it to master because it is not mine. But I do get to use it. Master loves me a little bit enough to allow me to use it. And I get to have papers, a certificate, showing that, me and master are cool like that. So if you see, when you look at it as a master-slave relationship, you can best understand it as to why the government requires everybody to register their property. Now, if you don't want to be a slave, you want to be your own master, well, it requires a little bit of, this is what I'm learning, that it requires a little bit of knowledge in banking, contract laws, a little bit of knowledge in trust law. What is a trust? A little bit of knowledge about what money is, what accounting is. So it requires different knowledge in different topics in order to understand, understand, and overstand the multidimensional society that we live in right now. And what we want to do is we want to learn how to properly claim our property, how to properly register it, and gain assert our inherent rights to that property. So there's proper ways to do that, proper ways to record it, file it, and present it to these public trustees, these public officers, and then take our property and transfer it over to them with special conditions. And assigning it to them by transferring our rights to that property, again, under special conditions. The conditions should be very simple. It should be that the rights of this property is now being transferred over to you along with the property, along with the interest, on the condition that it is recognized that such and such, meaning like me, Chandan Makijani, Chandan of the family Makijani, or Makijani Chandan, is the beneficial interest holder, or is the interest holder, or it's going to be used, the property will be used for the benefit of this man or this woman. So that's how we're supposed to be doing it. Now, so imagine everything is being transferred and registered with the government. They have all the properties, meaning that everybody in the public really, under law, legally, don't own anything. It all belongs to government. And we are basically just trustees taking care of the property that doesn't legally belong to us. And that's why we pay tax, because it's not ours. If it was yours, you ain't paying no tax, because it's your property. You have absolute rights. How you can know when somebody has rights to the property is because they're getting something in return. They're getting some compensation for that, for the use of that property. So if you have not claimed your name, and your name is being used on a piece of paper anywhere to make financial gain, to make profit, then you have no rights to that profit, no rights to the interest made from the use of that name for profit, because you have no proof that that name, that title, belongs to you. You have no proof that you have rights to that property. And therefore, they can send you a bill from the utility company with your property on there and make a claim that you owe them. But if you have eyes to see, you'll realize that when they're sending you a bill, they're sending you back your property. They're just giving it back to you. They're giving back your property along with the credits accumulated. That's why that bill piece of paper has a positive number on it, because it's a credit. And they're offering you credit along with your property back, because when we first initially opened the account, we actually gave them our property. We gave them our title. We gave them Social Security account, which is a bank account, which is almost like a living trust account. We gave them private information. We gave them credit because we made a deposit. A deposit creates credit in the private side. So we gave them a bunch of property. And when we gave them property, we gave them credits. Now they can operate because they have credits. Because corporations are all bankrupt. They have no property. So when we give them our property, then they can operate. So when we get a bill, they're just giving it right back to us because it's due. They have to send it right back to us and everything else that is due to us. Now, if we don't recognize that that bill is us receiving back our property and we're getting back credits, if we don't recognize it, we're going to misinterpret it as something that we have to pay. And if we recognize it or misidentify that as something we have to pay with paper money, then we look like we are debtors. We are acting as a debtor. We're acting as somebody, a trustee who's using the property and not like a creditor. So therefore, as a debtor, when we use the paper money, we are using IOU notes, IOU paper money. So then it just gets discharged. It's different than paying. When you discharge a debt, it's different than paying a debt. It's two different things. So if we can learn a little bit more about this topic, about who we are, what the system is, how everything is prepaid, it'd be such an interesting world to live in. Imagine nobody having to pay any bills. Really, imagine that. How would that turn out? And let's say we do reach to that point where we're not paying any bills really with paper money because everything is prepaid. But there are conditions. One of the main conditions to live in that type of society, I would believe and assume, would be to determine what do you have to offer to that society, to a society where you don't have to pay any bills. What do you have to offer? Are you just going to consume, and just not work, not create, not produce, not participate, not be creative? Or are you going to be creative? Are you going to participate? Are you going to produce? Are you going to be valuable? Are you going to express your creative uniqueness and be of service to the people around you? Because if you can do that, I believe then you deserve to be in a prepaid society. Again, it's just my opinion and my perspective. This is in no way legal advice whatsoever, so please do not misinterpret this for legal advice. But it is just something for you to think about. Think about it. Because anybody who does their investigations, you start reading these things right here, man. You start reading these acts. Take the time to read it. You will realize a lot of amazing things. And it will make you question, it will make you want to share the information that you run into. But you will definitely realize that the world we live in, reality, is far more interesting than what we thought. And if we would just stop focusing so much attention on the fiction world, on the sports, on the drama, on the movies, on the news, all these different distractions and entertainment, if we only stop focusing on that for a while, stop celebrating so much holidays. It's public employees and bank holidays, and these are all just, and people take that serious. People close everything down for public employees and bank holidays. It's confusing. Public employees and bank laws for the people laws. Public employees and bank holidays for the people holidays. How can a public bank day be your holy day? I don't get it. You worship bank? You worship money? Is that your religion? I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to the real world, to the present moment, and try to learn. Try to be open to learning, at least, about the system we're in and what we can do in order to be of better service to our people. Because the change is coming. No matter what, the change is coming. I mean, it's already here. Banks are already closing down. What are you going to do about it when the bank closes down and you can't use any money? And maybe that paper money that you got right there, that $100 is now worth 10 cents. What you gonna do then? Because let's say you already have the knowledge that you really don't even need paper money to pay your bills. The paper money can be valued, can be worth $1 million today and a penny tomorrow. If we know we can't pay anything with that paper money, and we don't need to, we don't even need to care if that piece of paper money is valued 100 today or 1,000 tomorrow or 1 cent the day after. We don't care. So it's very valuable information, powerful information, this thing about banking and finance, and about us being in a bankrupt society where everything is prepaid and insured. I advise, look into it. Don't take my word for it. Do not take what I say as absolute truth whatsoever. It's simply just conversation, discussion, and things for you to ponder about. Just take a second look at it. And you decide. You make your own determinations. Peace, love to all of you. Take care.